Hello students, welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we will start a new lesson. We are going to learn about conjunctions. Conjunctions. So I will explain what conjunctions are in a minute. I will tell you more about conjunctions in a minute. But first, I want you to get out your notebooks. Get out your notebooks because we are going to be writing stuff down. Okay, we have many things to write today, so get out your notebooks. Okay, we are going to be talking about conjunctions. Conjunctions are words like and, but, and or. We use them when we want to tie things together. So, we are going to talk about that in just 1 minute. Before we do, I want to review present tense verbs and past tense verbs again, because before we were working with just past tense verbs. Now we are going to work with both present and past tense. So we are going to do a quick review. So let's start. First, we are going to look at present tense verbs. We studied present tense verbs. Do you remember? At the beginning of the year, we looked at present tense verbs. Present tense verbs are used when we want to describe things that happen over and over again. Things that are happening now, but that happen over and over again. For example, every morning I take a shower. I take a shower every morning. That means today, tomorrow, the next day. It is something I do over and over again. What are some of the clue words that we talked about for present tense? The clue words. Well, we talked about every day, always, usually, sometimes, never. We could also talk about on Mondays, if it's something that you do every Monday. On Mondays, I go to school. So those are present tense verbs. So let's read the examples I have. I go to school on Mondays and Tuesdays. She takes a shower in the morning. They eat dinner at 6 o'clock. So when I read these sentences, I know that these things happen over and over again. Remember, for present tense verbs, it looks like a base verb. But with he or she, we have to remember to add an S, okay? With he or she, we add an S. So let's look at the second example. It says she takes a shower with an S. She takes a shower, okay? So don't forget, with he and she or it, we're going to put an S at the end of the verb. So let's look at the next slide, the next page. It says how to form a question in present tense. So when we want to ask a question in the present tense, we have what, do, plus the subject, and then the base verb. This would be a what question. I want more information, and this is about an activity. So my example here, what does she do on Fridays? What does she do on Fridays? And my answer, we have to move it to present tense verb, and it has to agree with she. So what does she do on Fridays? She watches TV. She watches TV. And in this example, I don't just add an S. Watches is a special verb where I have to add ES. Okay, I add ES. So sometimes we add S, sometimes we have to add ES. So here, she watches TV. Let's look at another example. This is a where question. Where do, and then we're going to have our subject and then a base verb. Example, where do they usually buy their school supplies? Where do they usually buy their school supplies? Now I have a where question, so that's going to be about a place, And so my answer here, they usually buy them at Walmart. They usually buy them at Walmart. So in the question, I have my base verb, buy. In my answer, I have present tense verb, and it looks just like the base verb, buy. They usually buy them at Walmart. Okay? So let's now look at past tense. The past tense, as we have just studied, are when we talk about things that are finished, things that are done. No more. We did it. It's over. Clue words about past tense are yesterday, last week. I could also say last month or last year, last Tuesday. We also have ago, 3 years ago, 20 years ago, 2 seconds ago. All of those are ago, past tense. Or if I have a year or even a month that's already happened. So like in 1999. 1999 is over, so that is past tense. So examples of sentences with past tense. I went to school last Monday. She took a shower in the morning. They ate dinner at 6. Okay, so for these, it means they did it, that's done. They are not doing it anymore. Okay, for past tense verbs, we do not have to change anything for he or she. It stays the same for every subject. Okay, so remember, our subjects are I, you, he, she, we, they, or a name. Okay, so for any subject, your past tense verb will be the same. So let's look at the questions. What did, then we have our subject, and then you have the base verb. This is the part I want you to remember. This is the part you need to remember. Base verb. So what did they do last night? Okay, do is the base verb. Did is already doing all my work. Did tells me past tense. What did they do last night? And then the way I answer it, subject, and I'm going to give you my past tense verb. They watched TV. So did is doing the work to tell me past tense in the question. And the answer, I'm going to use my past tense verb. What did they do last night? They watched TV, an activity. Now let's look at a where question. Where did they buy their school supplies last year? Where did they buy their school supplies last year? Again, I'm using the base verb, buy. Did already did all the work for me. Where did they buy their school supplies last year? And then in our answer, they bought them at Walmart. Now I have changed buy to the past tense, bought. They bought them at Walmart. Okay, so that was a quick review because we are going to be using both present tense and past tense in this next lesson. Okay, not just past tense, we're using both tenses. So now I want you to go ahead and get out your notebook and open it up because now we are going to start taking notes on new stuff. We're going to learn new things, okay? So get ready to write things down. So now we're going to talk about conjunctions. Conjunctions. Can you say that word with me? Conjunctions. Conjunctions. You might want to take a minute to write this down, okay? We are going to write down this information. Conjunctions connect words and sentences. So write that down. Conjunctions connect words and sentences. Write it down. Did you write it down? Remember, you can always pause and then write and then play again. So what are some conjunctions? Well, we have and, or, and but. Okay? I know many of you have heard these words. And connects similar ideas, things that go together. Okay? Similar ideas, things that go together. Or connects choices, one or the other. Not both at the same time, like and, but one or the other. Two things, but only one at a time. And then but connects different ideas. So one and not the other. One, yes this, no, not that. Okay? So take a minute to write down and, or, and but. Okay? Once you have that written down, you can unpause and keep going. We will look at and first. Okay, so now I want you to still write in your notebook. We are going to look at the word and first. Say it with me, and. I know many of you already know this word, but we are going to practice using this word in different ways, okay? And. Let's look at the example. Read with me, and I want you to write this example in your notebook. So if you need to pause the video, just stop for a minute so you can write everything down. You can pause, write it down, and then play again, okay? So the first one, and. Read with me. I work on Saturdays. I also work on Sundays. So I go to work on Saturdays. I also go to work on Sundays. I go both days. I work on Saturdays and Sundays. I work on Saturdays and Sundays. Notice I can just say I work on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't need to say I work on Saturdays and I work on Sundays. That is a very long sentence. Now I am making it shorter. I can just say I work on Saturdays and Sundays, both days. So go ahead and write that down in your notebook. Let's look at another example. We have apples. We also have bananas. We have apples and bananas. This means I have both things. I have apples, I have bananas. I have two. I have apples and bananas, both. Let's look at one more example. Last Saturday, Suri bought a sofa. She also bought a floor lamp. Last Saturday, Suri bought a sofa and a floor lamp. So she bought two things on Saturday, both the sofa and the floor lamp. Same day, she bought two things. Now let's talk about or. How is or different from and? Let's look at the first example. Sometimes she works on Saturdays. Sometimes she works on Sundays. She works on Saturdays or Sundays. So this means some weeks maybe I go to work on Saturday, and then some weeks maybe I go to work on Sunday, but I'm not going to both Saturday and Sunday. It's either I go on Saturday or I go on Sunday. Not both, just one. So with or, it's a choice. With or, it's a choice. You are choosing between two things. I don't do both, I do one and I choose. Sometimes I go on Saturday, sometimes I go on Sunday. I don't go on both. So I work on Saturday or Sunday. Let's look at another example. Sometimes we buy apples, sometimes we buy bananas. We buy apples or bananas. So now you can see I still have both apples and bananas, but they're far apart because I either go to the store and I'm only buying apples, or I go to the store and I'm only buying bananas. I buy apples or bananas. I don't put both of them in my basket. I'm just buying one. Okay, so our last conjunction is but. But. Remember, but connects ideas that are different, not the same. Let's look at an example. They work on Saturdays, so they work on Saturdays, but they don't work on Sundays. At the bottom, you can see I have Saturday, but Sunday has a big X. They don't work on Sundays. So they work on Saturdays, but they don't work on Sundays. So I want you to take a minute to write that example down in your notebook. Write the example. They work on Saturdays. They don't work on Sundays. And then how are we going to combine those sentences? Right? They work on Saturdays, but they don't work on Sundays. I want to show you something with but. Notice, with but, I repeat the subject, they. I still have it two sentences. With but, you are going to have they work on Saturdays, but, and then the whole sentence again. They don't work on Sundays. Do you remember when we had and, we wrote they work on Saturdays and Sundays. I didn't have to say the whole sentence again. They work on Saturdays and Sundays. But is special. Because the ideas are different and they don't go together, we have to repeat the sentence. So with but, they work on Saturdays, but, and then you're going to give me the whole sentence. They don't work on Sundays. The whole sentence. Okay? So with and or, we did not have to do that. But with but, we're going to write the whole sentence. They work on Saturdays, but, and then write they don't work on Sundays. Okay? So remember, but is special. You're going to always write the whole sentence, two sentences. Okay? Let's look at a couple other examples. You don't need to write these ones down in your notebook, but if you want to, you can. We always buy apples. We never buy bananas. We buy apples, but we don't buy bananas. So yes, we buy apples, but we don't buy bananas. Okay? So here I have a yes statement. We buy apples. And then I have my but and I have a no statement. We don't buy bananas. So remember, you're always going to write both sentences. We buy apples, but we don't buy bananas. Let's look at one more. Last Saturday, Surrey bought a sofa. She bought that yellow sofa. She didn't buy a floor lamp. No to the floor lamp. Last Saturday, Surrey bought a sofa, but she didn't buy a floor lamp. Okay, and again, I have both sentences because one is a yes sentence and one is a no sentence. So I have to write both sentences. Surrey bought a sofa, but she didn't buy a floor lamp. Okay? Okay, so that was our lesson on conjunctions. Conjunctions, working with and, but, and or. Go to video 12 and we're going to practice conjunctions. Okay? We will do some practice exercises. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.